Welcome back to my channel, everyone. The Next Level Life Hacks, where we take the next steps needed to grow towards our financial freedom and success. Today, we're going to be asking ourselves the question, will I be able to retire comfortably? Now, this is a question that I have often worried about. It has kept me up at night. I'm going to let you know the things that I have done to have a more comfortable mindset in reassuring myself that I am more prepared for retirement. Please bear in mind that these are my personal opinions. I am not a financial advisor. It is just my point of view and the steps I've taken to guarantee a more comfortable retirement. Now, let's define comfortable. What is comfortable to you? Do not tell me that when you retire, you want to be able to do what you want when you want. That is not a definition, and you should not be comfortable with that broad definition. Be more specific. Is it that you want to live a minimalistic lifestyle? Is it that you want to live a lavish lifestyle? Do you want to engage and endeavor in philanthropic activities when you retire? Is it that you want to live a debt-free lifestyle? Define what you mean by living comfortably after retirement. For me, retiring comfortably means no major debts. All expenses are covered by a passive or semi-passive income generating tool, and being able to travel extensively and to do a lot of philanthropic work. I want to take on major projects. I want to solve the problems of the world. Is it world hunger? It is feeding persons, providing homes for persons. That is my retirement goal. Not to sit back and laze around, but to be actively involved in philanthropic work. Now, because I intend to be actively involved in philanthropic work, there must be income generating, and I must retire with a strong foundation in terms of financial base. Now, once you have determined what comfortably means to you in terms of your retirement, then you need to say no to any and everything else that comes in the way of that objective. Bear in mind that the older that you are, the more aggressive that you need to be in terms of going after your retirement plans. It's never too early and it's never too late. Let's take a look at it never being too early. It's never too early for you to start saving as an individual towards your retirement. And as a parent, then it is never too early for you to start investing for them. The earlier that you start investing for them, then the better off it is. Now let's look at the life that you want for your children when you look at never being too early. Do you want a life for them that they are in a 40 to 80-hour work week? Do you want them to be in employment up to the age of 65? Do you want them living paycheck to paycheck? Do you want them dependent on 10 days vacation each year to be able to travel and explore and see the world? Or, on the other hand, is it that you want to set up a strong financial base for them? Is it that you want to be able to pass on properties, or you want to pass on an income generating tool so that they are not restricted and have to start off life being a full-time employee? Me personally, that's a phrase that my son likes to use. Me personally, I do not wish that my son is going to be continuing in full-time employment. I do not want him to be restricted by the standard type of job. I want to give him a base so that he does not necessarily have to work a full-time job, but only if he wants to work a full-time job. And that's what I want to pass on to him. So that's me personally. What is your desire as a parent to pass on to your children? Now, when I say it is not too late, I mean that whatever your age group, whatever the category of group that you fall into, it's never too late to begin. It might mean that you have to go a bit more aggressively. However, it is not too late. Now, there are two stages of life that I consider. I consider middle age to be 35. Therefore, I think that there's a category up to 34 and there's a category of 35 years and beyond. Why do I say that 35 years old is a category unto itself? I take it from the Bible. And on this channel, you're going to sometimes hear biblical references to what I mentioned because I am a Christian. If that offends anyone, I apologize, but that is how it is going to be on my channel. Now, I take the middle age from Psalm 90 verse 10, and it states, "The days of our years are 80, and if by reason or strength they be 80, yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off and we fly away." That's the King James Version. Now, a score is 20 years. So if it says 80, that is 70. Our life expectation based on the Bible is 70 years. If I'm going to be taking that in half, that's 35. So I take 35 as midlife. So if I'm having a midlife crisis or someone is having a midlife crisis, I'm going to take that to be at age 35 approximately. Now, what it goes on to say, that by labor and sorrow, it can go on to 80, which would be 80 years. So therefore, if we are to take a median point, that would be between 35 to 40 years. Therefore, for anything that we're going to be discussing for the rest of this video, it means that if you are over 35 years of age, you would have to apply a more aggressive approach to any one of these strategies. All right, now let's dive right in. Now, the first one that we're going to be looking at is to get financial literacy. Now, it does not mean that you're going to take a first degree, a bachelor's degree, or an MBA in finance. It just means that you are going to get a basic education on financial literacy. Now, if you are here watching this, it means that you're on the right path. You can watch other channels as well. There are many channels that speak to financial literacy, giving you strategies towards your financial success. Watch as many of them as you would like, because this is free information, free education that you can learn from. And there is no better time than now that there is such a proliferation of channels and information and literature on financial education that you can educate yourself. So dive into the information, learn about savings, learn about which types of savings account give you more interest, learn about investment tools, learn about everything that there is available. Listen to audiobooks if you are not someone that likes to read and prefers to listen, or as I mentioned before, watch all of the information that is available on YouTube channels. The next thing that we're going to be doing is cutting back on our expenses. All right, you are going to be saving. Look at all your expenses that you are accumulating on a monthly basis. What is the easiest way to do this? By developing a budget. And this is pretty simple. We are not going to be embarking onto high or deep economics or accounting skills. You're simply going to create two columns, one for your income, and that is going to reflect your salary and your net salary, that is, after all the taxes and deductions are taken out by your employer. If it is that you have a side hustle, you are going to include that on the left column. Then on the right column, you're going to place all of your expenses. And you're going to be as detailed as possible. List things like your rent or your mortgage, your grocery expenses, your utilities. If it is that you provide lunch money to your children, if it is that you have an entertainment allowance, estimate how much you spend on each area so that you can have a total of that column. When you have itemized all of those areas, you can clearly see all your expenses on a monthly basis. You might be surprised to know that your expenses are exceeding your income and you have to be borrowing each month. And how are you borrowing? You might be overspending or using your credit card too much, accumulating a debt, so you are in a revolving cycle of keep paying your credit card bills and then accumulating more expenses and bills on your credit card. Right? Now, when you have listed all your expenses, you are going to list the ones that you can reduce. I am going to select one of them right now, which is fast food. Now, when we look at the information, Fast food is one of the major expenses of persons. Let's look at the data. The Bureau of Labor Statistics put out a consumer expenditure survey that suggested Americans spend approximately $2,400 each year on fast food. That is equivalent to approximately $200 per month. And that is just the average. Other statistics say that 30% of all consumers spend on average $180 each week on restaurant food. That's just each week. If we were to look at that on a monthly basis, that would be $720 spent each month. What's the next option to that? Purchasing food and eating from home. Bring in your lunch or eat more meals from home. So let's do the math and look at the data. If the average American is spending $2,400 per year on fast food, that is equivalent to $200 per month. Say that we look at $100 then could have been saved by purchasing groceries and preparing our meals from home. Therefore, the excess expenditure right there would be $100 per month. If we were to take that amount and invest in the S&P 500, which is the Standard & Poor 500, which comprises of the top 500 companies, therefore, it would be calculated on a compounded interest basis. Now, compound interest, as I mentioned before, is one of the best ways that you can earn interest. What is compound interest? It's simple. It is earning an interest on the principal that you have invested plus each interest amount that you accumulate over the period. So for example, if in year one you invested $100 and you earned an interest of 10% on that, therefore after the year is completed, you would have accumulated in total $110. The new 10% is not calculated on your initial amount of $100, but rather on the new accumulated amount of $110. This multiplier effect rapidly increases the longer you have the amount invested in the account. Therefore, the earlier that you start, the better off it is. So let's look at that example. If we were to invest $100 on a monthly basis, the average over the last 10 years of the S&P 500 has been approximately 10%. This would yield a total savings of $12,000. However, your total balance would have been $20,500 after a 10-year period. Let's increase that. If you took that same $100, and remember, this is just what you are able to save from not purchasing fast food for 1 month. And if you took that $100 per month and invested it for 20 years in a compounded interest earning instrument, you would have accumulated $24,000, but your overall balance would be $75,000 after 20 years. What does that say to you? This should be causing a bulb to light up over your head. Remember, I said it's never too early for your children as well. If you have, for example, your 14-year-old or 15-year-old and you sacrifice $100 per month in a savings option with compounded interest each month, you would have assisted that child by the age of 35 years to have $75,000. What could you do with more than $100 if you were to cut back in every area in your life? Similarly, at age 35, if you were to start investing for the next 20 years, bringing you to 55 years, then you would have a significant balance in a compounded interest saving instrument. Now, after you have looked at all your expenses, and if you have trimmed all of the fat and there's nothing else for you to cut back, what is the other area you need to look at? If it is not expense, then what is the next area? It must be your income. So if you cannot cut back any more expenses and you realize that you are not coming up with anything else to invest, you need to increase your income. If you are employed, it therefore means that you need to seek a higher paying job. If it is that you are a self-employed person, then you need to increase your business offerings or your potential revenue. If you are full-time employed and you have a side hustle, you need to get another side hustle. Whatever the strategy or the means, you need to increase your income so that you can save more. Remember as well, we are not saving in a regular savings or checking bank account that gives you a 0.1% per year. I am strongly against regular savings account because they do not yield any interest. If you are saving, it must be in an investment option that gives you a higher interest rate than what the inflation rate is in whatever economy you reside in. So if your inflation rate is 6%, you have to at least get something that is giving you, for example, a 10% return on your investment each year. Let's go again to the statistics. Half of you persons that are watching this video can earn up to 30% more if you simply change your job. Doing the exact same thing in another job could have you earning a higher income. So why stay where you are when you are worried about retiring comfortably, right? Let's move on to our next point that ties in exactly with your employment. You should be maximizing every benefit available to you under your current employee structure. Several of you may not be investigating what is available to you under your employer benefits. And that is tied into getting your basic financial education, as we outlined as the very first point. If you are in the United States, you should be capitalizing on the 401k. You should also be maximizing your contribution, especially if there is a match by your employer. That is free money that you are giving away and not allowing yourself the opportunity to take advantage of it. You are giving these employers at least 40 hours of your life each week. Therefore, if there is an opportunity to gain more from them, why not take it? If it is that they have share or company stock options available, why have you not taken advantage of it? If as an employee you are able to get share or stock prices at a discounted price, then you should be capitalizing on that. The other thing that we are going to be looking at is you eliminating as much debt as is possible. Start with those debts that have the highest interest rates. Those are typically credit cards. One advice for credit cards is that you never pay the minimum balance. I have had friends or colleagues tell me that they pay the minimum balance on credit cards because it is one sure way for the financial institution to increase your credit limit. That could never be further from the truth. I have never paid minimum balance. I have always cleared my credit card statement balances each month, and I have always been offered an increase in my credit limits. You can take an opportunity of one strategy that is known as the snowball effect. The snowball effect in terms of debt reduction is that you start by eliminating your smallest debt, especially the one that has the highest interest. Pay more than the minimum balance so that you can quickly pay off this debt. Once you have eliminated this debt, you then move that amount to your next highest debt, that you can use the amount that you were using before for the smaller debt to be added to the amount that you're paying on this higher debt. And just like a snowball, you accumulate in terms of the amount that you are able to pay on your outstanding debts until they are completely cleared. Now, similarly to when you increase your income, you should never increase your expenses by spending the increased income amount that you are able to get. That is landing yourself into further problem. Whenever you have an increase in your income or a reduction in your debt, you should use that extra disposable income that you have to be applied to either another expense that you have that needs to be cleared, or to increase your investment in whatever higher interest bearing instrument that you have invested in. The other point that we're going to be looking at is to secure a good health plan. Now, as we go further and further over age 35, the human body was never meant to be immortal. We are mortal beings. We have a biological system, which means that we are going to be impacted by age over time. Therefore, we will start to face medical issues the older that we get, especially if we are not adjusting our lifestyle to one that is more healthy. It only takes one medical emergency or diagnosis to completely wipe us out financially. Therefore, to be responsible as you grow older and to retire more comfortably, we need a good health plan. Therefore, invest in a critical illness plan that covers the basic illnesses like cancer, stroke, any major illness that might come along. Another thing that you need to invest in is a major illness or major medical insurance plan. This can include and cover things like major surgeries that will have a high hospital bill at the end of your stay. Make sure that you get a licensed agent who you can trust and who will take the time to explain to you your co-payments and co-insurance and what the health plan fully covers. If it is that you are self-employed, make sure you get a reliable and a robust health insurance plan so that you can feel comfortable in retirement that your health needs will be covered. Another thing to look at, and sometimes it is out of selfishness or out of neglect, we may not invest in a life insurance. Not because you will not be around to see how the amount is being spent. That doesn't mean that you should not invest in a life insurance. You may be leaving behind your loved ones with funeral expenses or debts that they are unable to cover that can plunge them into poverty or a less financial stability. Therefore, health insurance and life insurance are two things that you should strongly consider as you go into retirement to save yourself. The next contentious point is going to be your children are not your retirement plan. Your children will have lives of their own, and sad to say that depending on the spouse that they pick up when they reach adulthood, they could possibly turn their back on you. Therefore, you need to take responsibility and plan your retirement for yourself because you are not guaranteed to be taken care of by your children. It is the reality. There is a saying that goes, the most ungrateful job is parenting. You cannot guarantee that your children will look after you during retirement, so plan for yourself. Then we are going to be looking at, in conjunction with that point, is the question, are you your parents' retirement or pension plan? If it is that you observe that your parents do not have a retirement plan or a pension plan, it is in your best interest that you take active interest in assisting them in setting up their retirement plan. If it is they get to 65 or beyond or retirement age, leave employment without any plan in place, you are going to be the one to have to finance their lifestyle. We are being faced worldwide with what is known as an aging population, which means that our parents and grandparents are living longer than the average lifespan in the past. Therefore, if our parents and grandparents have not taken the responsibility to have a robust retirement or pension plan, it will be left to you or to us, the children, to support them after retirement. Therefore, ask the questions. What is your retirement plan, mom or dad? Do you have a pension plan? How can I help you in setting up something for your retirement? One critical thing as well is a health plan and a life insurance. These can be uncomfortable conversations or discussions, but these are conversations that need to be had if you are to have a comfortable retirement yourself, or if it is that your parents will have a comfortable retirement. Now, in the interest of time, my friends, I am going to be cutting this video right here because in my next video, I am going to be having a continuation that if you are at a certain age, how much you should be investing in to guarantee a comfortable retirement. So watch out for that video for that information. As usual, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you have found any information in this video to be informative or beneficial to you, please like and subscribe. As usual, thank you for being here and walk good.